Anything you'd like to share with us, or is that going on?
Just trying to get things straightened up, road straightened up pretty decent, coming together. I don't know if cross it all the way out of the ground, but they're coming together pretty good.
We're putting waterways in up by Easter with the dozer. Frost,
It's fine.
6 inches of solid frost.
Yeah. Did you bust through it? How deep was it?
It's rotten, but I mean, it's, yeah, you gotta spread it out and let it thaw out before you can do anything, no? I was kinda surprised.
Brian digs straight and it's a spotty deal, one place with nothing, next place the other, 10 inches.
How are some of the, rock approaches on like the four-way bridge or the big six one, any of them holding up?
Keep tracking them. Phil used to fix it with that D-pick, and I thought it was mock stuff, that was pretty good. So, this week, actually, I haven't looked at it, but last week you get them, yeah, so.
Okay.
Getting all the gravel roads in shape.
I mean, they're, like I said, they're cleaning shoulders and stuff, and trying to get anything curved and stuff like that, take care of. So, but. Darn,
Until it gets tore up,
yeah, sign.
traffic will be out there.
I see the spreaders running up and down the road, so that's going.
Yeah. I drove through about, 14 miles of gravel the other day with a truck. I didn't wanna go down to Blacktop with a dozer on. They'd find something wrong, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so.
And they were in pretty decent shape. When they stop you, they expect all the lights to work.
Ball that's gotta work.
It's spring, you know, stuff goes to pot over winter.
Work and put it away, why should I?
Yeah.
You're thinking of.
How's the equipment holding up with our shortages in the mechanic's office?
Challenge. We're down. Dump trucks, couple maintainers. And we do have breakdowns, it just takes that much longer to get it repaired. It's a challenge.
Ever since they put regenerators and DEF on. Trucks just aren't the same.
Yeah, all the,
Well, it was just air. Compressors. Tanks. Valves in the tanks. It just takes time. And we typically, when we repair, we like to get everything repaired, so. Find an air leak, it may end up not just replacing one hose, but try to get everything repaired. So, right now, air conditioning units, I don't know how many. We're finding your compressors are not working this time of year.
That's why they're showing up,
Yeah,
you know.
and that takes a while too, to get out, get our freon loaded. Everything. And that's,
There's too many taters right now with that, you know, there's two more, two up north, and probably forward. I mean. Breakdowns been wrong, we know that, you know. That's a challenge to get them fixed up.
We used to have cranks on the windows and didn't have air conditioning.
Anymore, that don't work. Put shingles on with a hammer too.
Yeah. Open the
Not-
windshield up on the maintainers. Let the dust roll in.
Like the filters now.
Yeah, and then you,
You get nothing.
here's another issue.
Well, they're starting to find tile holes out in the field, so.
Yeah, it's just, them held off doing locates on them and stuff, because we're trying to get the roads prepped and decent. Not gonna pull the guys off to go start fixing tiles right now,
Yeah.
so I'd wait and do locates. Maybe start on them next week, do locates this week, start on next week.
Yeah, there's no hurry and
There's holes out there.
yeah,
You take care of that, Josh, man.
yeah, I'm gonna do it after bed.
Okay.
It's actually
Yeah, he just
Mr.
told me
Stecker's
about it.
district now,
okay.
but he'll take care of it. He wanted it fixed yesterday.
Well, he talked like he did himself, so that's why.
Well, then he said he couldn't dig it deep enough. He couldn't go down that deep.
Well, that's why when I heard it was 10, 11 feet deep, but talk to those guys.
Yeah,
Is it in the road ditch?
no,
This deal.
Okay.
it's an old clay tile, 24 inch.
Yeah, we'll get it fixed.
Anything for us? Well, thank you guys for coming in. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good one, guys.
You too.
ARCH, we are up to.
KRH,
HC, okay.
Good morning.
morning.
I got CH in there. Center Health,
The rest of us don't know either.
I responded just about.
anything?
Just about, not quite named. So as you can see, our volumes are up in just about every category over previous year and continue to be very strong. And in spite of that, our finances, our revenues are down. So harder and harder to really make a dollar in healthcare, and healthcare is certainly hard and challenging. Some of our loss leaders happen to be obstetrics. So spend a moment talking about obstetrics. I just read that, nationally, some other facilities have stopped performing obstetric services. And one was a community of about 35,000. And it's like, wow, that's pretty scary. The only place that delivered in that community. We have no intention of stopping obstetric services. We have a great medical staff, as you know. We have physicians who are really good at providing obstetric services, and certainly from a community standpoint, we want to continue that. That's really our future, and we know that. So our numbers are up, they're strong. That's a good thing. So we'll continue that service. We just talked about that a little bit before the meeting began. A couple of key things: Senior Life Solutions. Senior Life Solutions is an intensive outpatient behavioral health service, and it's specifically for patients on traditional Medicare. So it's a Medicare only service for patients on traditional Medicare, not the Medicare Advantage plans. But it will provide intensive outpatient psychiatric or behavioral health services. This is a very significant need in our community, and something we'll be starting working in partnership with the company, Psychiatric Care. They're the same company that you contract with to provide mental health services for patients in our emergency department through telemedicine. So that'll be an important service to begin, and we'll get that up and running. We're targeting a June start for that. So the company is currently seeking applicants for the 3 positions that will apply. But that'll be housed in the old medical records department at the hospital on the first floor of the hospital. So,
Is that a
oh,
24,
I'm sorry, not the medical records department, conference room ENF on the first floor of the hospital.
is that a 24/7 telephone line then too?
No, the telephone line is still, through the emergency department, through telephone. Should patients present there, but this is dayside hours. And it includes individual and group therapy sessions. Individual counseling and group therapy. So it has been proven to reduce patients presenting to the emergency room after hours, so giving them a level of support that they need. So that'll be an important thing for us to get up and running. The other one that we have is a joint venture for DME or durable medical equipment. And that's a joint venture with Mercy and Mason City. We'll be opening a home therapy shop at Kossuth Regional Health Center. If you recall, Minimum Medical used to have a presence here in town. And then that was bought out by AeroCare, and then AeroCare closed. And we haven't had a local presence for that for a while, so we're finding that patients are really struggling to get what they need. So it'll be an important service to be able to offer. We're hoping to have that operational in July of this year. And that will be in the old medical records department at the hospital. We're pretty excited to get that involved. Peter Jorgensen, we talked about Peter in the past. Peter joined our team the 1st of January. He's now licensed and fully credentialed and seeing patients. So I'm sure that his patient load will be quite significant. And he's seeing behavioral health, mental health patients in particular. That's his area of specialty as a nurse practitioner. So we're excited to have him join our team
And newly married.
Hmm?
And newly married.
and newly married, absolutely. So we're very excited to have him join our team. And it's always nice to keep our young professionals right here in Algona.
Yeah, he was a classmate of mine.
Was he? Okay, very good.
Nope.
And then Doctor's Day, we celebrated Doctor's Day with our physicians. Doctor's Day was on March 30th. We actually celebrated with a hot breakfast on the 31st. So they ordinarily get together Friday morning. So we were able to recognize them for that. But as you know, we have a good lineup of physicians here at Kossuth Regional Health Center, and we're proud of them. In 2024, Kossuth Regional Health Center will be celebrating our 75th anniversary. So we're looking for a way to celebrate that. Just starting to think about it now, starting to plan for it. But at least we're aware of it. So 75th anniversary is a pretty big deal for a hospital in this day and age. And the foundation is working on completion of the Heritage Room with some staff and volunteer work, getting that up and running. But that's really going to be a pictorial book with some product available of the history of Kossuth Regional Health Center, starting out with St. Anne's Hospital, becoming Kossuth County Hospital. So that'll be an important thing.
That's what, guys, is it 75 years since St. Anne's or including St. Anne's?
Including St. Anne's. Yeah, we became part of the county back in the 1970s.
Okay.
Before that, it's down the street here.
Hmm.
Down the street, that old.
Was it on
No,
Hall
that's-
Street?
Well, it was on several, so there were several locations historically, but the cornerstone for the current location, that's the 75 years.
Okay.
So, yeah, great questions. And that is all I have, other than we're preparing for Daisy Award, which is each year we recognize one nurse as the winner of the Daisy Award. And those awards are really blindly chosen by the Board of Trustees, meaning we blind all of the applications and they select the winner. But we have such a good lineup of nominees this year, which is awesome to see. And then that'll be part of our hospital weekend activity starting May. What questions do you have for me?
Good luck at getting margins back.
They'll come. Probably. It's hard. It's very hard. So I think that we're one of the hospitals that honestly, historically do quite well. And when we're struggling, that means that everybody across the state is really struggling. So,
Yeah, on the PowerPoint, the labor compensation page, you were kind of in that 60 range, dropped to 55 in January and then up to 69.4% in February. Is there a major shift there?
yes, actually, we anticipated providing we bonus our staff based on our metrics, and we failed to meet our metrics this last fiscal year, so we allocated funding to meet the metrics, but didn't meet it. And that affects that number, so.
Okay.
And we're just getting a couple key positions filled. I know we're looking for another occupational therapist, either an occupational therapist or a certified occupational therapy assistant. I believe we've just been successful in getting a speech pathologist, an additional one hired. So those are really important for some of the, as well as elderly that we offer. So
Take a peek at those
those are getting
4 weeks,
key positions. So,
talk about them and pass them.
any other questions?
Thanks.
Thanks for your hard work.
Yes, I'm very good.
Yeah.
Thank you for
And
that.
I'll congratulate.
Yes, thank you.
Other little girl.
Yeah,
What did you say your name was? Cute. Yeah, these are beautiful.
Yes.
This is a- Thank you. There was, one handwritten plan in your packets. We actually have 3. And I'm passing down the other 2. If you have questions, I can explain what those are.
Yeah, what's this stuff for the postage machine?
Okay, so the postage machine, for some reason this year, we've gone over what we usually do. So how the postage machine works is it's prepaid, so the company who puts a certain amount on our postage machine, we've already gone over that, so we need to add more money to the postage machine in order to finish out this year. The other one to the postmaster is, so the Secretary of State's office sends out, no activity cards for those voters that didn't vote in the last election. We just put money on it in February, but we have, or the post office has let us know, which is a good thing, which means more people are sending back their no activity cards, because how it works is we give so much money to the post office, and then those on their postcards, it says no postage needed, and so they keep track of that at the post office, and then we have to pay it, so
Okay.
we have more, which is a good thing, which means more people are sending back those cards, but we need more.
Yep.
That account.
Being that, we only had handwritten claim and we had one in the packet, I mean, is that okay to,
As long as the handwritten claim is on there, we
Okay.
can approve the other.
okay, I just wanted to make sure that was.
we had handwritten claim on
Yeah.
the agenda, so we can add to it.
Okay,
It wasn't specific to one item.
Yeah.
Well,
If it
and,
would have listed what that was.
Right,
then
okay.
we wouldn't.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yep, thank you.
but that's similar to the EMS board members where it said
Yeah.
member versus S, and
Yep.
Yeah.
if you're reasonably informing the public of the topic to be discussed, then it should comply.
Okay,
That's probably the simplest way to summarize, I would say.
So the first one is the Broward County Sheriff for $50, handwritten claim.
And we're doing separate motions for
Yeah,
all
we'll do
three.
separate on all 3.
Okay, doesn't matter to me.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion for that one.
Stecker,
second motion.
Carter. Any questions on it? Any comment? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next one is for $300 to the US Postmaster. Explanation that's been given to you. Is there any questions? Hearing none, who would like to make the motion in favor? So moved. Jack,
I'll second.
Stecker. Any questions or any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
I might have slipped off there, Josh.
You can sign it on the way back. I'll stamp it when it gets here. And the last one is for the $500 for the reserve account for the postage machine,
5,000.
5,000, I'm sorry.
Yep.
And there we had an explanation on it. Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Wacker, second by
Second.
Stecker. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimous.
That was a new pronunciation of my last
Burger.
name.
Did you guys?
Blacker.
I did not sign it.
Wow. Do you remember, what was that one movie they had? Animal House?
I haven't seen it. I think it might have been. I haven't seen that movie in ages.
That's before your day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had it on DVD at one point, but
Her name's so hard to say, and Josh's is one of them.
Yeah.
do the German pronunciation of it.
What's
If I read it, I
Vesta.
can pronounce it right. It's-
Roger would
I don't
probably
read it.
be more comfortable with that.
Roger's-
Did you hear the German version?
Well,
Vesta.
Vesta?
You can,
See, I would never, ever have gotten that.
I wouldn't either. When I was, on my way back from Afghanistan, we laid over in Germany and I went and talked to some of the, cause they had like the gift shops there, so I went and talked to some of the employees and I asked them how
There's one
my name
for
is
it.
actually pronounced because I knew it was German. And they said Vesta. I said, well, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Makes
The
sense because W is V.
V, yep.
Yep.
I also found it kind of ironic because the name is actually pretty common in the western part of Germany, and it was, it stood for guard, like a security guard. I was in the National Guard,
That's
so it kind of, yeah, it kind of fit.
my maiden name is Jaeger, spelled with a J, which
Jaeger.
means hunter in German.
Mhm.
And one of my cousin's son's first name is Hunter. So my husband loves to give them crap. You named your son Hunter Hunter, but
That sounds like a good deal.
yeah,
Well, you've been out in Deutschland, the western part of Germany.
I don't know what that means.
Deutschland? That means you come from the lowland.
Oh, yeah.
well, let's go back to English.
Back to English? Yeah, but do you know what get old God do problem?
Try again.
Grandpa. You could talk German real well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Approve a liquor license for River Road Golf Club.
To approve.
Laugh moves, I'll second that one. Any discussion on the permit? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried unanimous. Everybody take a minute to look at the transfers that are in your folder.
those are always big because of taxes that we just got, so.
Any questions on the transfers? Let the record show that we acknowledge the transfers that were made. $2080 agreement for sharing of mental health advocate costs with Winnebago and Worth counties.
I'll make that motion to approve the 2080 agreement.
I'll second.
Carter and Stecker. Any questions? Any comments, Carter?
We've approved it in the,
At the meeting?
Care Connections meeting, so.
Carter, was there any, conversation as far as days that she would be here, or is it all depending on?
I don't think there's specific
Okay, just
days or
as
hours
needed.
that she's gonna be in. Kossuth
On
County.
demand.
Cause she also serves Hancock County.
Yeah.
There's four counties there that she kind of takes care of, so.
I figured it was as needed.
Yeah, yeah.
Thought I'd double check on that. I didn't know if there's any.
No, I don't
days
think she has
specific.
specific office hours or anything. so.
She does have an office.
She doesn't, but I'm saying like, there's
Yeah.
not a set day. that she's
Schedule.
here, Yeah.
We didn't maintain an office yet. Here,
Yeah, they'll need office space in the agreement, but it said it was, Where's that even at?
Yeah.
We have a couple
Yeah.
office
We,
spaces over
the
there.
space that they used to be coolers.
Right.
Yeah, that didn't get used for something else.
No, we
And
didn't.
I was understanding that the office was still available.
Yeah, we left it open because we knew we had to do.
Right, right.
Yep,
So I have a motion and second on the floor to approve the 28E. Hearing no more discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Okay.
Opposed, motion carried unanimous. Cell phone policy.
I don't know. Get the other department. heads in here, you can- We talked about it, so even if you wouldn't mind. Josh, would you mind calling Todd and see if he wants to come up for the cell phone policy? I believe he is.
141.
Yeah.
I get it. Hey Todd, this is the boardroom. We're on to the cell phone policy, if you wanna come up or not, so. Roger.
So you talked about it at the department head meeting, and this is what your suggestion is to the board?
This is, yeah, if you're looking for Roger, it's 401.
Okay,
We talked about it and decided to take up Doug's policy that he has for secondary road, and we just amended it so that it fits for the whole county. And we came to a consensus that
hey, this is the boardroom. We're on to the cell phone policy, if you wanna come over. Okay, no worries. Okay, perfect, thanks, bye.
that we were okay with some people having county-owned phones, and those that don't would be reimbursed $25. Sorry,
That's all right.
would be reimbursed $25 per month for the use of their own personal phone. The only difference that I have is that
You can't hide back there.
Let's go.
is the mental health advocates is different, but I think hers is done through Care Connection, so, and hers is $40 a month, so hers is a little bit different, but otherwise, all other county employees would be $25 a month. And I think we all agreed in the department head meeting that that's what we would suggest to you today, and the copy of the policy is in here.
And this is just for those that are required to have cell phone.
The policy addresses those that have county phones and those that will be reimbursed at $25. And it's not changing any of the existing. It's not adding any phones or changing anything. Todd is gonna update his, he will follow this policy. His is a little different right now. Otherwise, I think everybody else will be continue doing the same thing, except for reimbursement will be $25 across the board.
Wasn't Doug's a little bit lower before?
His was lower, it's at 15 now. One thing for the policy side of it is like, it has each department head shall determine which positions require the use of a phone. When we were having the discussions about COVID and policy within the courthouse, there were some differences between department heads on how that was handled. I don't know if we need to have more clarification on that here so that it's across the board standard for that or not, but that's one thing I think we should consider so that there's not a
I don't-
variation.
Can you clarify that?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, I probably won't get into specific situations, but the policy was handled a little differently.
By different department heads, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that was the point of what I was saying.
Or something.
But. My
Cell
guess,
phone?
No, not for cell
Oh,
phones. No,
oh,
no,
oh.
just policy in general.
I see.
Yeah,
I think it's kind of clear that it'd be up to the department head to determine if they need a reimbursement or not. I don't see anything wrong with the policy. Does anybody? It's standardized it.
And as long as no one's getting more than another person,
Yeah,
I think it's fine.
Do I have somebody to make a motion on the cell phone policy?
I'll make the motion.
Kurt? Second,
I'll second.
Factor? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
I-
Opposed? Carried unanimous. Thank you, guys.
Get you guys all a copy of that.
Doug, we're up to our favorite portion today.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, this will take at least an hour. I don't know if you would like me to wait and, as far as the budget program and finish other things, or how you want to handle it.
Judy said, Judy, want to do yours quick?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't have anything. Ah, I guess you don't.
Might
We're
as well
pretty
do it.
much,
Yeah,
Pardon me?
I said, might as well do it now.
yeah,
is it okay if we do the budget and then the other stuff maybe come later?
However you guys want to do it. So,
well,
so
we
if
got
he
about
takes
an hour
to
before
do
we do the Snyder, so,
To 9:30.
Yeah.
Yep.
so why don't we do yours and then
Go back.
we'll go back and get caught up after Snyder then.
Your, once folder, there should be, I believe 4 files.
We have 7 finals.
Well, 4 files with the budget
Oh,
program.
yeah.
One that says, final program, final budget, motion to approve secondary road 2004, budget program, and presentation. So I'm gonna go through the presentation right now, and if you guys would like, can follow along on your own notebooks.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so. This is a budget program, so our budget goes to the Department of Transportation. It's the same numbers as what is in the Kossuth County budget. But they do have some separate rules that road departments are required to follow as compared to rules that the county follows. We do have a 5-year secondary road plan. First start the budget. The numbers on the right would start out, the numbers to the left are the prior years. We're starting out with an estimated balance of $5,153,840. We expect receipts from property taxes to be $2,199,910. Local option sales tax, $600,000. Regular road use tax that we estimate to receive is $6,146,369. The transfer of jurisdiction and farm to market extensions in cities, we are expecting $57,897 for that. Time 21 funds, $750,574. And then the miscellaneous land, drainage district repair, sale of fuel to other government entities, driveway construction, other miscellaneous. That adds up being approximately $290,250. So our total receipts, total funds available are $15,198,839.
Doug, can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
Can you remind me, what is time 21?
Time 21 is some funds that were created. I think it was around 2014, had to do with increasing in some registration of vehicles, some driver's license. So there were some funds that were made available after a certain, those funds were originally distributed amongst a formula. But after so many millions of dollars were created, then it gets distributed under the regular road use tax. So
Okay.
when it started, we were not getting as much as what we are getting now, as things have increased and the DOT is receiving more for those dollars. Part of it is some of the transfer of jurisdictions that I think Webster County, more or less, it wasn't a choice to counties to whether or not they wanted a transfer of jurisdiction. Highway 20, when they moved to 4-lane and moved Highway 20 a mile south, counties were forced to take over roads, and part of the legislation was compensation for those counties
Okay.
there. So now some of that transfer of jurisdiction is complete. Sure. So for expenditures, we got $916,000 engineering and administration, $2.5 million budgeted for construction, $5,594,410 in maintenance of roads. General roadway, $3,892,350. So our total expenditures are $12,902,000, estimated to be $12,902,762. And that if we would spend all that money and the revenues would come in the way we have them estimated, we would end up with a balance of $2,296,077. Our 5-year program for construction, accomplishment year fiscal year 2024, which will begin July 1 of 2023. These would be projects that we plan to let in that time period. First thing that I want to say is the first 2-3 years of this program I've got a lot of projects in there, and I put them in there, but I don't know if we'll have the funds to do them. And resurfacing, for example, this year, we had to take 2 projects out of this year's work because we did not have enough money to do all of the resurfacing. And I would expect that the very same thing with this resurfacing would happen. But we beginning with farm to market, using farm to market funds, going east and a little bit north out of Ledyard, farm to market funds, where we estimate this to be $650,000. We got another farm to market project, A16. This road in particular is in poorer condition than the road going east and north out of Ledyard. But this would be A16, running from the West County line and east over to Highway 169. And we have $3.8 million farm market funds there. Then using some local funds, we have a 3-mile project running from A21 to A16. This would be on P40. And then also using local funds, this is A21 running from P50 and then east 4 miles over to Highway 169, and $750 or $750,000 in local funds there. We have a federal bridge project on the Bold Hobart Road. This is currently a single span, steel I-beam. It was constructed in the sixties. The deck, we are seeing some condition rating, I think is 4 on that, and the condition rating on substructure is 4, so we are starting to see how that bridge is starting to see the end of its life, so we are planning to replace that. That would be using federal bridge replacement funds, and we need our 20% match on those with swap money. And then we have BRS 199. This is just north of the bridges. We got a bridge right here that is under contract and will be started soon. But this is on P64 running from Highway 18 up to Titonka. Place this bridge, we estimate $550,000 of federal aid and swap funds on that. Some photos of that. One of the abutments showing somewhere. Again, the deck showing some leaching coming through there. 572604 is a timber bridge down on the west side of section 26 of Prairie. Dana Arndorfer lives right north of that. This is $400,000, what we would anticipate to be $400,000 of local funds, timber structure, timber piling, timber abutment. And then 573408 is just around the corner south and west. George Gunter lives right to the west of that bridge, and that's $400,000 of local funds. What we estimate to replace that timber structure. A couple pictures there of that. This one actually, excuse me, it's a different one right in that area. And then we have, to finish out this fiscal year, is the bridge up at Michelson Marsh. We, on the south side of that, the gentleman has his land enrolled in a USDA conservation type program. We are getting a report to them, and hopefully we'll be able to purchase road right away and get that. That is a $500,000 total project is what we estimate. Part of that would be using increment financing, and part of it would be using local funds. Some photographs of that. It's been widened, concrete cap, and there's steel cap there, continuous I-beam, high timber and timber piling, high timber abutments. That's one of the abutment pile. You can see a screwdriver there. Not a lot of section left in that pile there. So. The first priority year, fiscal year 2025, that will begin in July of 2024. Start off with some resurfacing. B55, I call it the Irvington Blacktop. We would be resurfacing that from Highway 169 east over to the Texan Laverne Road, 7 miles. This is a federal aid road, so we would be using 1.9 million. It's estimated 1.9 million. 80% of that would be federal aid, and the remainder would be farm to market. And then we would be doing Boat Overton Road, P30. Got a bridge that we're replacing hopefully this year, then we can resurface the road. That's estimated 1.6 million. I think we got 1,360,000 of federal aid on that, and the remainder, or excuse me, that's all FN. I'm thinking of a different road. That'd be all using farm to market funds. Again, I added these here into this year, but in order to get it accomplished, I do not know. We got a farm market road. This would be right on the north side of Smith Lake and running west of 169 over to Highway 15. Estimate that at $2.1 million. Transfer station road using farm market funds, 5-mile road there from P44, between P44 and or it's on P44, running from B30 to B19. estimated at $1.1 million, farm market. And then a small 1.5 mile using local funds, this would be from 169 over to that P44 job that we were just talking about, $350,000 of local funds there. Structures 470580, this is kind of following up and finishing up the timber bridges down in that area. We have a timber bridge, north line of section 5 in Laverne Township, using $450,000 of local funds. Again, another timber bridge with some timber piling, high timber abutments. This one, we actually had a failure on this would be the upstream side, the north side. Those piling, it was during a ice event where those failed. So we drove some steel piling, put a steel cap on there to support that north end of that bridge. And then we have some timber bridges down by where Mike Colehouse lives. It's on the west line of section 17. Estimate $400,000 of local funds for this bridge. Another timber bridge, high timber abutments. The backing plank, we're not quite put in low enough there, and this is on a skew, and that water during high water events hits that south abutment, the southeast side, and causes some problems there. We may end up, these bridges are posted now, however, given some of the funding, we may end up having to just do more maintenance than construction on this. And right down the road, that creek runs southeast and then turns back southwest, so 491706. There's that 471702, the creek runs over to the east side and then goes back west. That same bridge, same problems. Got another timber bridge, they were built at the same time, same contractor, same contract.
None of these are box culvert material.
This is a pretty good sized drainage district there, so, we will look into it to see what kind of flows are in there, but right now, I don't know. I would assume it's gonna be a bridge. If you go back, that's a bridge there, that's a bridge there. I believe that's a bridge. I know that's a bridge there on the E road.
You got fall in that part of the county.
Well, I mean, there's a pretty good drainage area. It goes all the way up to north. I think it goes north of Highway 18 there, so. But we will look into it. Local bridge, this is up by Michelson Marsh, but it's right around the corner. The Michelson Marsh Bridge is right here. Same style of bridge, right around the corner on, I think that's P64, P60. It is urban renewal eligible. Could use some TIF funds if they're available. This is a IB bridge. Got a timber piling with a concrete cap in the middle of it. Some things in the cap, in the abutment substructure on that. And then we got 881450 local funds, $400,000. This is on the north side of the Union Slough outlet. This is posted for single truck traffic. It's got a little bit of an alignment problem. But it's a single span concrete caps, but timber abutments underneath of it, high timber. Again, they tried to do a little bit of work in here to keep some of that problems underneath of there, but the approaches end up during high water events have some problems. And then 8930 06. This is right north of Lone Rock on P30. Right now, we have a metal pipe there, replace that with a box culvert. We got some problems here showing a little bit of deflection in there. We got a structure actually inside of the culvert holding things up. It's been this way for a long time, but that's not gonna last forever.
I think it's unique.
Well, you'll see another project here where we have another support in the middle of one of those big pipes. The second priority year, fiscal year 2026, this would begin in July 1 of 2025. Resurfacing, we have federally funded resurfacing on the Bancroft Forest City Road, 842. This would be running from Highway 169 over to P64. 1.7 miles of farm to market and federal aid STP block grant funds on that. Then we have north of A42 on R14. The first one is R14 north of A42 between 9 and A42. That is a job that in the 70s recycled asphalt, and one of those that we see the large contraction, expansion, cracking on that. So we would do a cold in place recycling along with HMA resurfacing over that. Estimate 1.9 farm to market funds. We've got farm market road or plan on resurfacing using farm market funds, local funds. I did change that. 3 miles from P66 over to R14. Estimate that at $550,000 local funds. And then another local funded job. This would be on 3 miles north between B14 and A42 on R14 and $550,000 in local funds. We have a bridge down section 2 of 48 Sherman. Yes, $200,000. This would be, I believe, a box culvert, replace that. High timber abutments with the steel ID. That's posted bridge. 592003, Harold Bosworth, used to live right in this area. And Tilgus, can't think of his first name right now, lives right to the south there. This would be replacing a timber bridge with a concrete slab. We have a concrete slab right here. We have a concrete slab right here. This bridge is posted during high water events. We actually have water going over that road. We do some grading on that and try to keep that road so it is usable by all traffic north and south. We have a bridge. This is north of Central School. This would be replacing a timber structure with a concrete slab bridge. Low estimate on that. I think that it's going to take more, but it's in the future there. 3-span timber bridge, timber deck, timber vents and abutments. 870960 is a bridge, north line. Actually, this is a culvert, north line of section 9 in German Township. Got some cuts in there, causes a few little deflections.
See someone dispose their toilet.
Possibly, it's in our program. See how we move it forward. And then 882350, that's a bridge. It's in the middle of the slough. I keep on pushing this one back. It's kind of in the middle of the program, but I go back a year. The slough no longer tries to control any kind of a pool elevation on the south side of that. But at one time we talked that we were gonna put something in there. Now the slough does not. However, we also continue to push this bridge back. So whether it gets replaced or not, we will see.
That,
We are seeing some problems in the deck.
that road could almost get closed in some ways.
Yes, that's possible. It is on a no snow removal route. So it's not a high priority for the road department, but we do have it in the middle. Third priority year, fiscal year 2027. I was having some problems with the computer application, getting this, but we do not have as many projects as what it'll have in the next few years as we continue to move forward. Farm market resurfacing, 3 miles right to the west of Titonka. This is P66. Actually, this was part of our current program, our current fiscal year, that I had to bump a road down in order to make everything work. But I have estimated 560,000 farm market funds on that. This is a TIF increment financing project that is eligible with the Gold Eagle increment financing, 3 miles on that, $350,000. And then we have a little road, 1 mile. There's a church right up here in Hancock County. This would be a project that would be shared half Hancock and half Kossuth. Then for structures, got a bridge right out to the west of Algona, replacing the existing bridge, high timber abutments. This one would probably be a culvert. We have LB as a bridge, but I think if you go up to McGregor, there's box culvert there. Underneath Highway 18 is a culvert. I believe we could probably get a culvert in here as well. Got some problems with some piling underneath there. 67-1806 is right north of Sexton on P60. This is a concrete slab. It's been widened I think in the early 90s, we actually widened it. And we are seeing on the original structure some substructure problems. We got a little grading project. This has been in the program for a long time. Actually, this has been a program when the ethanol plant was constructed. Some of the people that haul grain to the ethanol plant asked that we grade this road so that they would not have to go through Ledyard, grade and pave. I have it in our 4th year. I've kept it in our 4th year for quite a while. Whether that gets done or not, it's not a high priority of mine, I guess. And if the board has feelings for that, you're gonna have to let me know. And then we have a grading project called the Bancroft Bypass, this half-mile stretch of road. We have tried dealing with the landowner, however, it's difficult. We're finding it's difficult to get road right away for this. The grading project is easy, getting the road right away for that is difficult. I pushed that down on my priority list. Again, if the board feels this is a priority, please let me know. And then the final year of the program, using some farm market funds, this would be the Bancroft Forest City Road running up to Sway City. P30, estimated $1 million of farm market funds. P66 north of Highway 9, $1 million of local funds. Got that with a local project. Then B14, this is another road. The board at one time talked about extending B14. This road is all graded. It's all ready to be resurfaced, repaved. It never had pavement, but I've always kept it in the 5th year. It's not a high priority. I'd rather take care of our roads that we have now that are surface than add on to them. But I would estimate almost $1 million farm market funds on that.
Is that crooked yet, as the picture shows?
Yeah, it's got deflections in there.
Does it?
Yeah, so yeah. And then the paving, this would be the lead yard bypass, finishing up with the paving on that. Obviously, we're not gonna pave it till it's graded. Then we have a bridge down by Mrs. Kirsch. Mrs. Bob Kirsch, it's on the west line of 3294-29. Another timber bridge, we've seen some. Actually, stringers have failed on this with some very heavy loads. Again, we have some backing plank that are suffering there. And then we have some small bridges. This is on north line of section 4 Garfield Township. Small bridge that could be replaced with some precast sections very easily. We've taken most of these types of structures off of paved roads, but some gravel roads would be good to do that at some time. Would help our men with the maintenance of gravel roads quite a bit, snow removal, different things. Another small bridge replaced with some precast sections. Bridges themselves are fairly good, but these curbs are difficult on equipment, road equipment, agricultural equipment. I think they got about 22, 24 foot width on it. It's another one of those small bridges that could be replaced with some pipe. People wouldn't even know that a structure was in there. This is a small pipe north of Jim Grant Jeanette's. It's on the west line. Actually, it's in section 7. The west line of section 7 is right here. There's small stub that Jim Grant Jeanette. I think of the gentleman's name that used to live out there. Son has got a
Ron Forberg.
Ron Forberger and I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, we could replace that. It is a very narrow road top on it. However, all it does, Lloyd Gerber used to back there. It really just gets back to Lloyd Gerber's old house. Nice house, nice area, building site. But it's not the highest priority. 9911, this is a drainage district private that was cleaned out a few years ago. The culvert's a little high. Would help out the drainage district to get that replaced. Here's the shoring, hold up the culvert there. 08-2120, that's a timber bridge up in Springfield Township, north line of section 21, $250,000. Probably on the light side, but I keep it in the program, keep it listed. It's getting to the end of life on there. This is a cross bridge 08-0702. $125,000. An open ditch starts right up here. This is one we talked about possibly vacating. It's right on the center of section, or the center section, the center of the road. So land on one side of the bridge and land on the other side of the bridge are owned by separate people at this time. So if we could possibly vacate that road, that would be a thing. We do see some cracking in the abutments, substructure problems there. 902401, this is a bridge that possibly we could overlay. We got some steel. The cover must not have been very good on that. We've seen some reflection. However, we're not seeing steel, so steel is doing its job there, and that's more for shrinkage and shrinking and cracking. Grading, these are some projects that have been in program for a long time. This used to be the Peter Road. This is a very, very difficult road to maintain during snow removal. If we did some grading, lift that road up, we can help ourselves out quite a bit. Henry used to live in that area. Dolores Tilges, if you're familiar with, right on the pavement there. Another grading project, help get some drainage in this area during very, very wet seasons. This road is in poor condition. This 2-mile road, Steve Minke lives on that. There's a burro that lives up there too. Maybe that's his mother-in-law. But anyway, got that grading project. Another grading project, this 5-mile stretch, 4.5-mile stretch of gravel road sees a lot of traffic with grain deliveries. The ethanol plant is right up here, so a lot of people come from the south. That would be a good project to get paved, or excuse me, not paved, get graded. We would have to purchase some road right away to do that and get a good 24-foot top on that 26-foot top, good drainage in there, so that road would be less maintenance for us. Been in the program since the ethanol plant was in there, started 20 years ago. And then I got a little project up here. There's a drainage ditch, open ditch that runs on the east side of this gravel road that if we could get some road right away and move that road to the west, that would be more there. It is steep going on the east side, but that would be $25,000 local funds. So the program totals, you can see for fiscal year 2024 coming up, we are estimating $220,000 of swap funds, $4,450,000 farm market funds, $2,390,000 of local funds, $880,000 federal aid, and then $300,000 of increment financing, special funds. So we have program $8,240,000 of funds for the fiscal year coming up. The following year, $9,250,000. Like I say, some of these dollars are going to end up going back into the next couple of years as we see what funds are available and what projects need to be done. We're going to really have to do some discussing. I don't know. I think bridges, for the most part, probably discuss whether we need to concentrate on bridges that are on paved routes. Make sure that we keep those up. Obviously, the resurfacing, we need to keep our pavements up. However, every year we fall a little bit more behind. So if they ever catch up with it, it is difficult. Gravel road, bridges, yes, they're needed, but unless we have the dollars to do it, I don't know how else. Some budget graphs. Our estimated receipts for the 23-24 fiscal year 24. Start off with a balance. We've got a balance of $5,153,840. We're getting $600,000 of local option sales tax. Road use tax, $6,146,369. Almost 40% of our revenue comes from road use tax. Property tax, $2,199,910. Short of 15%, in miscellaneous receipts, $1,098,721. So total receipts are $15,198,839. Our ending balance is estimated at $2,296,077. Expenditures on administration and engineering, $916,000. Construction, $2.5 million. Roadway maintenance, $5,594,410, and then general roadway is $3,892,350. Total expenditures equal total receipts. If you also throw in the expenditures and just look at it without the ending balance. So these would be the actual dollars that get spent. That ends up being $12,902,762. Construction is almost 20% of that. Roadway maintenance, 43.4. Engineering, 5.6. Administration, 1.5. And general roadway, 30.2.
What's the difference between roadway maintenance and general roadways?
Roadway maintenance are dollars that we actually gravel, labor to maintain culverts, labor to put culverts. Roadway, general roadway is fuel, equipment operations, mechanic shop, electricity, phones.
Thanks.
Yeah, so the roadway maintenance includes all the wages for the workers,
Yes, except for the mechanics.
except for the mechanic shop, okay.
If you add in our federal aid and our farm to market projects, which are not part of the local budget, we have, and special funds, the increment financing, we have $1.5 million of extra construction. If you put that in, construction ends up being 28.2%. Engineering is 5%. Administration, 1.3. Roadway maintenance, 26.6. And then the general roadway is 26.9. It seems we try to, or we attempt, it's good to see construction, roadway maintenance about equal there. Means we're putting good dollars into good long-lasting projects and not just maintaining a lot of things. So that's the project there, the program. I do have a motion prepared, and it's in the electronic folder, just to approve and adopt the Kossuth County Secondary Road Department fiscal year 24 budget and 5-year construction program. And to recommend approval to the Iowa Department of Transportation.
Find the motion in their folder, dated April 11th, 2023. To approve and adopt Kossuth County Secondary Road Department fiscal year 2024 budget and 5-year construction program. And recommendations approved by the Iowa Department of Transportation is the motion. Do I have somebody that would like to make that motion? Jack Plath makes the motion. Do I have a second? Second by Carter. Any discussion? Seeing none. Let's do a roll call vote.
Plath,
Yes.
Nath,
Yes.
Wactor,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes.
Jerks.
Yes. Motion carried unanimous.
Now I just need to get some signatures. So I'll give these to you, Tammy, the auditors on the top.
Okay.
And if you would, Roger, same thing, you're on the bottom line right below my signature, and then have Tammy sign those. Tammy, you can keep one, and I'll keep the other.
Yep.
And I will get that electronically submitted to the DOT.
Okay.
There you go. Be able to keep you on time.
Anything else on the budget, Doug?
No, that is,
We have a few minutes
Did you need a
yet
quick
before
break?
9:30. Should we, approve the gravel pit lease?
sure. I think that lease, I realized it was not in your folder this morning, but, this is a lease with, Shane Koval for what we call cylinder gravel pit. And I believe that map is there. It's,
15.5 acres.
yeah, it's a,
Section 19 Fairfield Township.
right.
Yep.
And this is one that Bill Depew farmed, but Bill has retired and we did take bids on this, if the board remembers. I don't remember the exact date, but Shane had the
Yeah.
high bid to farm that.
Do I have a motion to approve the lease for the gravel pit in section 19 of Fairfield Township?
So moved.
Motion by Stecker. Do I have a second? Second by Carter. Any discussion on the lease? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Opposed, motion carried unanimous.
Okay, both Roger and Tim. Just, please, and I will notarize that.
You can take the
You
can
wanna do right away,
Doesn't matter.
discussion, want to do it now? or-
Yeah, we can do.
we have on our agenda for discussion for the mechanic position. Mr. Stecker, you put it on the agenda.
Yeah, I mean, and it can kind of tie in with discussion with the engineer, but I was curious about an update. Have we gotten any applications? What's the status on that? I guess.
We've received some applications, however, they are lacking experience. And any experience they have is on small equipment. Not really what we are looking.
Yeah,
Let the record show that we discussed mechanic position.
do you feel the wage needs to be higher? I mean, we made an increase during the negotiations process and stuff this year, but
I think Vanderhaeg's is advertising salary of 77,000 to 95,000. There's a place in Hampton, I saw an advertisement. I think that was again 75,000 starting wage. I don't know.
For Kossuth County, are we comparable as far as, or how comparable are we compared to implement dealers?
I haven't called, but
Sure,
they don't publicize what they're paying.
yeah,
I heard, this is secondhand. This is all hearsay,
yeah.
but I've heard that, there was a person that, retired from an implement dealership, in Kossuth County, and he was compensated more than what the road department was, put it that way. Having said that, I believe that everyone is having a difficult time hiring mechanics at this time. Diesel, heavy equipment. Mechanics. And if they do have mechanics, I believe they are making sure they keep them.
with the union negotiations we had, if we were to make a change to that wage, do we need to go through that process again or involve the union? I believe we.
Yeah, I
did,
think you
but
need to talk to, my
Renee,
answer is yes, but I'm not an attorney, I'm not a labor.
It's
Expert,
up to the labor.
but I would think you'd want to talk with Renee Von Volker.
Our labor attorney that we've been using,
Yeah,
cause you mess with the union and they're not gonna be happy with us.
I was thinking that was the process that was
Yeah.
needed.
Anything else? If not, construction in the right of way, we can get that done quick.
We do have a request for construction of the road right away. This is from Midland Power. There are actually two locations. One of them is, between section 1 and section 12 of Weston Township, where they are, I think they're reconstructing some overhead lines, rebuilding some overhead lines to get, 3-phase to a farm, building site of Great McNeese. And then in Buffalo, between section 26 and 27, the same thing. I believe that they are rebuilding to get 3-phase to, Garrick Suture. But I would recommend that the board would approve both of these. They're on the same motion. So permits are 4/7/2023 and 4/8/2023.
I would move to approve the construction in the road right of way. Do I have a second? Second by Stecker. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed, motion carried unanimous.
Jerks and Stecker.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Since we have you here, do you have any discussion?
I got a couple of things. One is 80th Avenue, maybe 90th Avenue, north of Roger Churlin. I think Doug Crouch last week mentioned that there was a tile where a road collapsed. We did find that a utility fiber optic core went through that, so that has been closed until the fiber optic core is removed or replaced, which is supposed to happen Thursday.
After that's done, do you have any idea on timeline or to get it fixed? Okay, just curious if.
Yeah, we'll get it going. Down at Irvington, that, bridge there going over the river. A little bit of grading needs to be done. We were out staking that yesterday. We're hoping in the next couple of weeks, we'll have the guardrail on and that bridge project will be complete. Up in Lincoln Township, Marions are working to replace, that bridge up there. They had started, got the piers in, but they have started construction again. The airport expansion project is to be led a week from Friday, April 14th. No, April 21, excuse me. So we will know more about that road after that letting. Planning and zoning, we are meeting on the 17th to approve the recommendations, the report that goes to the Board of Supervisors. So I may put it on the agenda. I probably will put it on the agenda that the board accept the report from the Planning and Zoning Commission next week.
What time is that? The meet,
3:00. 17.
But
I
that's
don't-
via electronically.
It will be, yes, and, I don't know if all the zoning commission will be in here. We will also be in this room.
Okay.
But if they were in the fields, they'd call.
Sure.
I just anticipate that it's going to be,
Looks like this weekend could be wet, so
yes. Other than that, that's everything that I.
Anything else for Doug? No, thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Yes, we'll take a 10-minute break.
Oh,
yeah, let's do 10, that's fine. We don't have to do it, it's right at 9:30.
No, we need a break.
What floated legs is
You know,
Oh,
Yeah, don't fall over right away.
feet went to sleep.
That's it.
That's still fun. I missed.
no, that ain't somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Working through break.
I have a feeling that was. Did you get that email from the Caitlin Clark thing?
I did, I saw, actually, I was in here. Derek asked me to pull it up on my phone to see how it showed on the mobile platform. I never even looked at it until I heard about it later on.
I just saw this morning and just now I saw Derek's email on it and but when I looked at it, I was like, that's gotta be, I already deleted it.
Okay, I didn't know what. They send it to all users.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything that way. You sent something this morning?
No, that was on the 6th.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, no, I didn't.
Yesterday. And real
Apple trees and a tile blowout.
There you go.
Apple trees.
Yeah, we're planting some apple trees.
Oh.
So maybe you'll have that. Users still gonna be.
sharing.
So I thought that was. It's just that damn. Well, I kind of wonder that. This guy is. Yeah, so. Yeah, I always.
This?
I just had to catch it.
Yep, when I saw that, I was like, that's my brother's company. He owns Federal Fire Equipment.
Your brothers?
Yeah.
She has to,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
she has to.
Yeah, my sister-in-law would have prepared my
Yeah.
estimate. They said nothing to me about it. That's what I was just like.
You gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have to give them. Yeah, pretty much.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I won't be able to vote.
Yeah, that's probably good not to.
Schedule or something. You also have a schedule, you can go, it's going to be, the hearing is set for October. So, yeah.
It's out there.
Right, yeah, that's why he sent it from that decision. He said this is not the time to have.
Oh.
a Hearing this before, you know, everybody's in the wheels.
Just. All we can, we're waiting for you. You keep filling that cup, you're gonna have to have more breaks.
So how many more times do you want us to have a break before we go to the agreement? We wanna sit here all day, right?
It's probably a lot better than what I'm gonna have to go
The
to.
pace the same for her, but not him and me.
Oh, no, I was talking to you two.
Got nothing else going on, right?
Five more votes.
You can't vote for me anyway, it's fine.
You like that one guy that made the newspaper, he voted twice last year, he finally got convicted.
Where was that at?
Last year, the last election, president election. Somewhere in Iowa, he voted absentee ballot, and he went to the poll the day of the election, voted again.
And they convicted him.
No,
Really?
Was he intending to do that?
yes,
Nice.
actually, it was time to dump it out. It wasn't drinkable anymore.
You must not drink it fast enough then.
No. It was cold, the cup needed to be washed.
Is it water or coffee or something?
There was coffee in it. Water'd be better. Still rip you off, Jack? Okay. Vending machines fighting in this morning.
Oh, I had that last week.
Gosh, said it was over 10 feet deep.
We got to get a request made out on that yet.
Okay. I thought about in summertime, we'd start the board meeting 15 minutes later so that we'd have time to fill out requests before the board meeting started. But that's something that you and I could think about and Carter, I don't know if that you.
Probably doesn't make a ton of difference, but it'd be nice to do that. And we'd have staff here, that's right.
Yeah, I mean,
Instead
it's
of,
for the people, it ain't
instead
for
of,
us.
yeah, instead of the courthouse being closed.
Yeah,
His nominations.
I mean, otherwise we can always do it after, but
A little bit out tomorrow. Yeah.
and we can get some of the work done quicker.
yeah. But then we still wouldn't have them on the agenda. Till maybe.
Well, drainage used to not have to be on the agenda, but I don't know if it's all there's different opinions on that.
Yeah,
The people that understand drainage get it, the people that don't understand it don't.
In-laws.
Okay.
Eat some good food.
Over cylinder.
No, over Emmitsburg.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yep. Did you see that email from that email? About, the Caitlin called.
Oh, yeah. I did.
Yeah. I saw that and I was like, yeah, this has gotta be malware.
Yeah, yeah. I thought that was pretty good though.
Yeah, it was pretty well,
did you see this one?
but there it fell under the emotional. They tried to draw you in based on like.
That's for there.
Yeah, I think I do. That's a hard one, man. You know, really know how much we really need.
Yeah.
And it's a small budget to begin with.
besides salary. Yeah, Tammy wanted a short break and she's the last one back. We should all give her a hard time.
Should we?
Yep. We've been waiting for you.
Now we're losing, yeah.
Now we're losing Josh.
I'm sorry for making you wait.
I was just telling Roger, you were the one that wanted a 2-minute break and then 10 minutes later, you're the last one in.
Now you know.
You didn't,
Now you know it's like being an old man.
It's like weekly.
Uh, Where's Josh going?
Get a bottle of water.
A bottle of water?
I'm gonna bring a cooler full of water next time, and just set it up.
that would be appreciated. We just wanted to fill your day with more enjoyment of those comfortable seats back there.
I get hard after a while with the chairs.
We are back in session and our next thing on the agenda is Snyder and Associates and McClure for county inspection services on the carbon pipeline.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. You guys have a copy of the modified agreement?
Right, in our folder, and I think everybody's had a chance to look at it, and anybody have any questions on it?
Everybody okay?
Make that change.
There's in the what did I call here? In the scope of work in exhibit A. There's, in the, let's see, I don't know what page it is, the next to the last page in your packet. It says the professional will be paid in 30 days of the client receiving payment by the pipeline. You're gonna strike through that into 45.
Right.
You guys,
Yeah.
if you're okay with that?
Yep.
Are you gonna sign it electronically, Roger? Do I need to send it to you?
Whatever you would like.
I can just strike through and hand you these two?
Yeah, the paper form right there.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
If you got a paper form with you, we will sign it
okay.
after we approve it.
All right. Do you have any questions at all?
Go ahead.
You have McClure attached to that now, so is that mean that you're subbing part of that project out, or do they have to answer to you on all the proceeds?
They are our sub, but we are in partnership, really. Somebody had to be the prime and somebody had to be the sub.
So you are the prime,
We are the prime,
so any problems go be directed through.
absolutely.
They're handling more of the drainage side of it, right?
Right.
Just for,
Yeah.
for clarification.
We didn't spell that out in the contract because we didn't want to lock it in, because if there may be a day that I'm shorthanded and the floor can send somebody out to help me and vice versa, that's what we'll do. But primarily, the floor will be doing drainage, Snyder will be doing the other land agreements and all the other land restoration.
And this is one other quick question, maybe answer, so just for the roads closed to, fiber optic, or probably the size of 4 inches. What's a 30-inch board gonna do to our county infrastructure?
Well, if they run the 30-inch through a culvert or through, a drain tile and collapse it, then your road's gonna collapse. More than likely,
There's
eventually.
no way to know about that damage from before. See it develop, takes place.
That's right. Because when they bore you, don't have a visual. So the mapping is very, very important. Anything else?
Do I have a motion to approve the agreement?
I'll make the motion to approve the
Pardon?
agreement with Snyder and Associates.
I'll second.
Stecker? Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimous.
Just a quick update. I don't know if you all were aware that the hearing for Summit Carbon Solutions has been scheduled to begin in October of 2023. You are aware. effective. And apparently, the IUB has replaced the chair.
Correct.
Yeah, I've heard that too. You guys are more up on news than I am. I'll have to start coming here so I can catch it.
Not the ideal time to have here.
That's not gonna go over well.
Christine, this one for us. and one for you.
That's one for Summit and one for Navigator.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, 5 copies.
Having a very hard time finding an attorney that was willing to work
Really?
the IUB for 150,000 a year or something. And it had to be from the other political party, because I think they had 2 Republicans, so they need a Democrat.
But I thought the one that was nominated was a book.
There's actually 2.
Okay. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Openings probably.
All right, I guess I'm in the hot seat here.
Oh,
Yes.
got any other information for us?
Information, let's see.
We
I
got
think of.
13 minutes for you to fill with pipeline
Okay,
bags.
well. It's still not releasing their Exhibit H documents, so we don't have any idea of what they have for easements at all. Nobody really knows.
I think they're still early in that from what I've heard, but
There's an attorney in Storm Lake named John Murray, who is holding landowner meetings on the Navigator pipeline. If any of your landowners are interested, I can provide some information on that.
I haven't heard that.
I
Yeah,
hadn't heard that either.
he's doing it voluntarily. It's not a solicitation for business. He's not charging anything for it. It's just informational.
I haven't heard a lot about people being contacted for easements yet in the Navigator.
Oh, I have.
They've been out.
Yeah, they've been out. I don't know how many they're visiting a day or anything like that, but they have been out.
Yeah. I know they're doing surveys down in Polk County. I heard yesterday, I got an email saying that they were out surveying in Polk.
I think Navigator's good primarily in your area, isn't it?
It's entirely in my district, yeah.
They were out doing
Yeah.
engineering studies last year.
Oh, there's people getting,
Doing the-
Having- there's people having meetings with their, representatives for easements 4 weeks ago,
Yeah, sure.
maybe 5.
That attorney, John Murray, thinks that Navigator is probably not gonna get a hearing until the spring of 24.
I don't think they're pushing for one really.
I don't either. I think they've got issues in other states that they're trying to address, to be honest with you. So,
I mean, from the feeling I have, I feel like they're comfortable staying behind Summit in the timeline. I don't think they're trying to race them.
they're letting Summit set all the precedents and do everything, and then they're just gonna follow it behind and probably quickly get a permit. You know, it'd probably be a lot faster process for them.
We were waiting for the state to make up our mind for us, say that they were gonna pass something,
Yeah.
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 but they chickened out.
Well, it didn't make it through the house anyway.
Yeah. But it made it a lot easier for the county. if it had
Yeah.
something.
It would have, sure would have. You guys are working with Tim Whipple, aren't you?
Yeah.
Have we heard anything in regards to Shelby County and when that result will come out? I know it has to be
I
soon.
asked once and they said they couldn't give me any information because it was
Yep.
still
Let
in
me check on that.
negotiation.
I just knew it was gonna be soon,
Yeah,
decision made.
So they're working with a moderator or a mediator or something, or?
A lawsuit,
Well,
they're
yeah.
suing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't know what the outcome of that is.
I don't unless it'd be pretty recent if it was.
I'll find out.
Dean Kinkle had told me a couple weeks ago that it was gonna be within the next few weeks, you know, however.
Yeah.
that was-
And Hardin County involved in that too?
No,
No, just their county.
Okay.
Story also is in the lawsuit.
But they're doing one at a time.
Story has a different ordinance. They did not base theirs on Shelby. Stories in law and legal proceedings with Summit and Navigator. Shelby is only in proceedings with Summit.
Well, I know many counties have passed ordinances, and I also know that one of our counties is actually setting fines already. They've established monetary fines for any infraction listed in 199, chapter 9. You know, they went ahead and just set the monetary value.
Mhm.
You know, if you mix the soil and subsoil, topsoil and subsoil, then you're gonna get charged $2,500 for each instance. You're gonna do, you know, if you do this, it's gonna be X amount. It's just whether they can, whether they can enforce that, I don't know.
That was,
You know, they seem to, have a good time, set it in their fine, so I just.
199, chapter 9.
199, chapter, IC, chapter 9. That's the restoration of agricultural lands.
Okay,
And then if you want to look at Iowa Code, chapter, section 459B.20, that's gonna be, Iowa Code, that's the same thing.
Okay.
I think I quoted that right. I can just rattle it off when I'm not thinking about it. Yeah, that's right, 479B.
I had 459, so 470.
479, I'm sorry, yeah, it is 479. And 199 IC chapter 9. Those are good ones to read up and know about.
So the first 199 is in the administrative code?
Yes,
Okay, nice.
chapter 9.
Okay,
94 and 95 specifically are.
no update on Shelby yet.
No. Anything else? Anybody have any questions? Okay.
No.
As soon as they start, well, if they get a permit and they start staking, that's when we're planning on making our appearance in the county as far as on the right of way. We hope to, well, we will get out while they're staking and do photographs, pre-construction, photographs to document the pre-construction condition of the land.
So are we gonna contact you or is Summit gonna
So I've
contact
been in
you?
contact with Summit. I had a meeting with them 2 weeks ago to discuss their execution plan, how they're planning on attacking the work. And I know that they've got one contractor hired for the main line. It's a union contractor. They're not from here, but they're a union contractor. And they'll be doing all the main line. The branch lines, the branch that goes on the west end of the state, on the west side, that runs down to Shelby County. That was gonna be by another contractor, and then the walking man is what they call it, the lateral that goes in the middle of the state. That's gonna be another contractor. So we know that they're gonna start in the east and work towards the west.
So they aren't going to be sectionalizing they're gonna start in.
They have 2 crews that'll start, one will start in the far east and one will start midway. And both of those crews will work to the west, okay, and then
Oh, so one will start in the middle of the state?
yeah,
Okay, so they will piece it out and
they'll have
have,
2 spreads going at once, yeah,
So likely Kossuth County will be one of the starting points?
quite possibly,
Oh,
quite possibly, yeah. I wanna say it was further west was gonna be the second starting point. Obviously, one will start in Chickasaw County.
Right.
And it may be Kossuth.
cause we're in the middle.
Yeah, I think it's probably you guys. That'll be, yeah. And then they haven't hired the other two contractors yet. They're still making bids or whatever. So,
So they're not the main contractor's probably not subbing out any of the
No.
main line.
No.
Okay,
no, it sounds like it'll just be their crews. And also we discussed schedule. They said they thought they would probably start in May of 24. But I'm kind of looking more towards, I'm preparing for April or even March,
24.
because I think they'll have their survey crews out that soon and that means we need to be ready to go to work then. So,
Kristen, is there anything you need from me?
I know are you getting easements? Are easements being filed in the courthouse? They don't have any easements.
I haven't seen anything.
Really?
They don't have many easements in Kossuth County.
Right, right. Well, we've got record of the Exhibit H properties. We're keeping a spreadsheet of those, so. You know, unless you're,
Unless Doug has something, but I haven't seen.
yeah, okay,
We haven't even got our zoning ordinance all completed yet.
right,
So
that ways to go. So I will need a copy of that.
Yeah.
Your district crossing permit, whatever that looks like, I'll need a copy of that. Any resolutions or anything like that concerning, you know, everything concerning the pipe. That's what I'm.
you have a copy of our drainage crossing.
I don't think I do. Maybe I do. Yes, I
You
do.
do? Okay.
I do. Because, I got it from Dave. Yep,
Anything you need, give us a whistle.
okay. I appreciate it.
Yep, thank you. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Yep.
So, the best way to do changes to the minutes that we made is to write it on the existing copy with why we did it. So that we're not reprinting another one and there's no notes. So that's what I did. So I'll pass, before anything gets signed, I'll pass it down for you guys to look at and make sure that's accurate and what you want, and then you can let me know.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, see that?
Everybody's a meeting. I'll get my folder for this.
Real.
Good morning.
Okay.
Todd and Roger and Elizabeth is here.
41, pretty sure. Hey, we are up to the audit report. If you wanted to come up for that, you can. Shortly here, yeah, a couple minutes. Perfect, see you. And then, did she say for Roger Fisher? Too? I think he's,
Oh, wait,
Jack.
Jack has to sign it.
Jack, good, I- How's everything out in eastern Iowa? How's everything in eastern Iowa?
Busy but good,
Good.
yeah.
mm,
The weather's getting nice, so that's.
Yeah. We're almost right on time. Closest it's gonna get here.
Roger, you think you call anyone else? Roger Fisher did not answer. I
Didn't
think
he?
he had said he was heading out before we know about policy, so. Tammy, do I need to call anyone else?
Do you want all of us to sign this? That's what I thought.
This is extra.
We're signing minutes yet. We'll be done in a second.
I know you're so excited. to
We
go.
are.
It's
Just-
Such interesting stuff.
Can't wait.
You probably already read it. You already
How
covered
could you get
it.
a more interesting read than the audit?
Yeah, it was exciting this year. There's a lot of new things this year, so.
Yeah, there was some new things in here. Yeah. Actually have own property now. It's documented. So,
Thank you there.
yeah. I know. We are up to our time with Gardner and Company for FY 21-22. Oh, it's funny. And I will turn it over to you.
We're gonna have to get the right, like, they're gonna have to talk.
You are special.
We'll just go ahead and we'll go through the book and we'll kind of hit the highlights and we'll, there is a lot of new things to kind of go through, this year. We had alternative procedures instead of a single audit. We got to implement GASB 87 with the leases. And then on our end, we also had to implement some new auditing standards, which kind of changes the way that the report looks a little bit. Add some additional verbiage and we had to do some additional test work with that. So we can start on page 2, which is on Gardner and Company letterhead. This is the independent auditor's report. This is the audit report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022. The purpose of an audit is to opine on whether or not financial statements are fairly presented. The audit does not have anything to do with finding fraud or finding errors or irregularity. It is just designed to determine whether or not the financial statements are fairly presented. For this fiscal year, we have issued an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, which is what you want to hear. It means it's a clean opinion. We did have some material adjustments that were found during our audit test work. We proposed adjusting journal entries for those items which were made by the county so that all of the transactions are properly included then in the financial statements that are here. Again, the audit is based on tests and samples. We don't look at every single transaction that goes through the county during the fiscal year, and then we opine based on that. Now, the audit report looks a little bit different this year. The opinion is right there in the front. It also talks about emphasis of matter. The county did implement GASB statement number 87 in regards to leases for this fiscal year. So the board went ahead and adopted a right to use leased asset policy, setting that threshold of reporting at $50,000. So that any leased assets that you have out there, then over that $50,000 threshold will be reported along with the liability that goes along with that. On the other side of that, me as a lessor, if you're renting out farm ground, and have a lease arrangement, there's a spreadsheet that Tammy gets to fill out that determines whether or not those transactions are a lease. And if they are, then they are presented in the financial statements. So that was new, implemented for fiscal 22. Also then, with the auditing standards that we were required to implement, we're also required to be independent from the beginning of the engagement to the end of the engagement and document that independence. And that is both in fact and appearance. So there's different precautions that we have to take, different steps that we have to take to maintain that our staff, everybody that's assigned for this engagement is independent. So we've got a blurb about that in here also. Also, something new that we're required to talk about in the auditor's report is whether or not the county looks to be able to continue in business for a reasonable period of time after the issuance of the audit report. So we did additional analysis of the fund balance to determine that there wasn't going to be a going concern problem within the next 12 months. So that's disclosed in the audit report. And again, that is something new for this fiscal year as well. So on page 5, we start with the management's discussion and analysis. This is the county's opportunity to talk about financial highlights during the year. It also talks about the pieces that are included in this annual report. This annual report includes 3 different sets of financial statements. There's the full accrual financial statements, which is most likely what you would see in the private sector and includes all capital assets and long-term liabilities. There's also a modified accrual set of financial statements, which mirrors what Tammy is required to submit to the Department of Management, known as the GAAP report. So that particular set of financial statements does not include the capital assets and the related the debt. And then also because the county budgets on the cash basis, we do have a budget to actual for the governmental funds to present that as well. So that management's discussion analysis goes ahead and explains all that. It also gives some comparative information comparing fiscal 22 to fiscal 21. There's some budgetary highlights, and then there's an opportunity to talk about the mindset and some of the goals and factors when you were looking at fiscal 23's budget. So the actual financial statements for the county then start on page 13. And we start with the statement of net position, which is shown as Exhibit A, and a statement of activities, which is shown as Exhibit B. Now, these are your full accrual financial statements, so they're going to mirror what you would see in the private sector. Your statement of net position is going to mirror a balance sheet. Your statement of activities is going to mirror what you would see for an income statement. We do present the governmental activities along with the business type activities, business type activities being the transportation, so they are presented separately. Also something that is unusual for this year, IPERS did really, really well. And IPERS had a really good year. IPERS ended up being funded over 100% for this year. So normally when we're looking at this statement of net position, we see a net pension liability. This year, there is a net pension asset of $1.1 million. And like I said, that is due to the success that IPERS had with their investments. So for this reporting period, they were over 100% funded. So instead of showing a liability, we are showing an asset there. So again, something that's different from prior years. Also shown that's different, we have a lease receivable, and then we also have deferred lease related inflows. Again, that goes back to the implementation of GASB 87, so that's new. And those two things net to zero, because your lease receivable and your deferred inflows are both 62,142. So then as that lease progresses and the payments are received, then that's going to go ahead and that'll go to zero until the lease is renewed. So then on Exhibit B, which is pages 15 and 16, that's our statement of activities for the whole county for this fiscal year. The change in net position for the whole county was a little over $1.1 million. So that's a positive balance. The county continues to pay down ARPA money that's been sitting there waiting to be spent. So it was a good year to spend down that as well. Also, we had quite a few projects going through the FM account with the DOT. So there was about $4.4 million that was recognized this year as a capital grant contribution and restricted interest. So that's kind of the highlight for those 2 pages. Okay, following that, then we have Exhibit C and Exhibit E, which are your modified accrual financial statements. They mirror what Tammy has submitted to the Department of Management. And then Exhibit D and Exhibit F, those show the reconciliation on how you get from the modified accrual financial statements to the full accrual. So you can go through that step by step and see how all of that works to get from one basis at a time to the other. For your proprietary funds, those financial statements are on Exhibit G, H, and I. We have a column for the transfer station and then also a column for your employee group health insurance fund. Health insurance remains to be something that's very tricky to budget for. You are self-funded, so that puts an extra burden. You also have a wonderful plan that does not require your employees to contribute anything. And that is huge. I think of all the counties that we deal with and do audit and consulting services, I believe you are the only remaining county of the counties that we deal with that do not ask for an employee contribution for part of that. So that is huge. That is a huge benefit to your employees. This year there was a little bit of a loss. It kind of fluctuates year to year based on what your claims are, but again, still a $2.8 million balance at the end of the year. So very positive things there. Exhibit J and Exhibit K then, these are the fiduciary funds. These are the funds that the county is the fiscal agent for, such as your schools, your townships, your corporations, where you're collecting those dollars and then remitting them. Your assessor, your 911 are also in there. So this gives exhibit J gives a snapshot of where you were at June 30th. Exhibit K gives a snapshot of all the dollars that were in and out of the county during this fiscal year. So then the notes to financial statements start on page 32. I'm gonna skip over most of these unless you have questions about them. The notes just go ahead and provide the accounting policies and procedures. There's a lot of accounting definitions defining the terms that you're seeing in the financial statements. There are several pages in the pension plan, part of it, that's actuarial information we receive from the actuary that does the evaluation for IFRS, and then they provide us about 5 pages of information to be included in your audit report, for their actuarial background. Same with the OPEB. They go ahead and provide us that actuarial information there. I do want to go ahead and talk about the notes that are on page 60. Actually, it starts on page 59 and goes into page 60. Note 17 talks about the closing of the mental health fund. During this fiscal year, Senate File 619 required that Fund 10, or the mental health fund, be eliminated. So at June 30th, there was a check cut to your mental health region to close out that fund. So this note just kind of goes ahead and documents that your fund balance at the end of the year, as you can see on page 60, was 0. So everything was closed out. Everything is going through the mental health region. So lots of changes with that as well. At the bottom of this page, we have an opioid litigation settlement. On December 20th, the state auditor's office went ahead and provided guidance on how they wanted that handled. They went ahead and they compiled the information that was required to be included for each county as far as what you're going to receive over the next 17 years for those payments. They did have us amend the gap report. The gap report was due December 1st. This information came out December 20th. So they did ask that we go ahead and amend the gap report and the financial statements to make sure that those opioid settlement amounts are included. So Tammy has established a fund. It's a special revenue fund to collect these in. She'll be receiving payments for the next 17 years. And there's very specific guidelines on what these funds can be used for. So going forward, we'll get to deal with that. So on page 62, we have our budgetary comparison schedule of the receipts and disbursements. This is the cash basis comparison. The amounts in the actual column are the actual dollars that flowed in and out of the governmental funds during the fiscal year. The column that's titled less funds not required to be budgeted is your drainage, because drainage is not required by the code to be budgeted. So that's what flowed in and out, cash basis for that. That gets us to the net. And then we present the original budget. We also present the final amended budget and then into variances. So, at the end of the year, we're doing analytical procedures, looking at these variances. And, for instance, the capital projects variance for the disbursement side, that's a 2.5, almost $2.6 million variance. But the explanation with that is, projects never go the way you think they're going to. And you as the board are making amendments and making adjustments to allow for those expenditures, and they don't always happen. So even though that's a large variance, there's a red flag attached with that at all. So there were explanations for all of the large variances. Also, large variance on the intergovernmental receipts. A lot of that has to do with state of Iowa funding. Grants never seem to come when you expect them to. So again, your budget to include those things, and you might not always get that before that June 30th. So again, everything was explained, no red flags there. The pages following that then are some additional required supplementary information talking about the budget, also talking about the IFRS and how it's funded. On page 65, you can see that is an IFRS disclosure for some required supplementary information. There's that 100%, it's 100.81% funded for this reporting period. So it'll be interesting to see what that does for next year, to see if it remains funded at that level, or if we're going to see a decrease, because it was a rather large jump to go from 82.9% funded to over 100% funded. So it'll be interesting to see what the actuaries give us for information on that. So, okay, then the pages following that, again, some additional supplementary information for the pension and OPEB. Following that, we've got schedules 1 and 2, which are the supporting schedules for the non-major governmental funds. So all of those smaller funds that don't get presented by themselves at the beginning of the book, they have their detail presented here. And then the same for schedule 3 and 4 with the custodial funds. You can see the ins and outs for all of the funds that the fiscal 84. And then schedule 5 was in line through 83 and 84. That gives you the governmental revenues and expenditures for the last 10 years. So you can kind of see some trends and kind of see what's been going on for the last 10 years. So then that brings us to another piece of Gardner and Company letterhead, which is on page 85. And this is the independent auditor's report on internal control over financial reporting and on compliance. So in addition to opining on whether or not the financial statements are fairly presented, we also do some Code of Iowa compliance test work and some internal control test work. Again, this is all based on tests and samples. We don't look at every single transaction that might have impacted these findings. And then we report based on our test work. So this goes ahead and leads us into the findings. And the findings for this year's audit start on page 87. The first one is segregation of duties. It's in every single audit report we issue. It's just because the way local government is established in the state of Iowa, you don't have enough employees on staff to completely segregate all of the duties. So there's a possibility that one employee would go ahead and handle the transaction from its inception to its completion. The department heads and elected officials who fill out this really fun internal control questionnaire every year. And it kind of gives suggestions on, what you can do to maximize the internal control within your departments. So we talk a little bit about that. Cross training is huge. The supervisors looking at the claims is huge because ultimately you are the ones approving what's going to be paid out. So actually looking at those claims is a huge part of this process. The next finding is preparation of full disclosure financial statements. This is in probably 98% of the reports that we issue, and it's because you don't have a CPA on staff that prepares your GAAP report for the external reporting to the Department of Management, and also for the full accrual reporting that's included in this book, which includes the financial statements and then all of the footnote disclosures. So because we help you with that, we're required to go ahead and have a finding in regards to that. Now, as far as our independence, we have to maintain independence through this process. So we go ahead and we propose adjusting journal entries. We don't make them. That's all on the county, whether or not they choose to make those adjusting journal entries. So, that decision is left up to management. And then after the financial statements are drafted, we do go ahead and send that draft to Tammy, and it goes through an approval process where she's required to review, approve, and take responsibility of those financial statements. So that helps us maintain our independence. So the next finding that we have is in regards to financial reporting. This year, we had material amounts of receipts, infrastructure, construction in progress, and then, of course, the opioid settlement that hadn't been reported. Now, the opioid settlement one was out of the county's control because, again, that information did not become available until December 20th. So he couldn't have recorded it June 30th if he didn't have the information. So that one's kind of have to have it in there though. And then also with the construction in progress, that one is not a large, concern either. Secondary roads tracks all of their projects. They just don't input them all into that GASB 84 Service Bureau report, GASB 34 Service Bureau report until those are closer to completion. So, but again, those adjustments were made, were everything that needed to be included was. The statutory findings then start on page 89. We did have a finding with the budget. The disbursements during the year ended June 30, 2022 didn't exceed the amounts budgeted by service area, but there was one department that was over during the year for the amounts appropriated, and that was the relief for the poor department. So, just encourage the departments to keep an eye on those appropriation reports and let Tammy know if they're feeling that they're going to need to do an appropriation adjustment. You can increase or decrease appropriations during the year without a budget amendment, as long as you don't increase the service area budget. So, that's always an option. So those departments just need to keep an eye on those and be communicating with Tammy if amendment or appropriation change is necessary. The next finding that we have is questionable expenditures. And questionable expenditures have been a hot topic with our state auditor's office, who is our oversight. That's something that they are really encouraging the counties to document public purpose for all of those disbursements. So in our test work, we did identify 3 of these questionable expenditures to be reported. Meals, there was an unknown charge that was unsubstantiated on a hotel bill, and again, meals. So, other items that we see with other counties include interest fees, late charges, that type of thing on credit cards. And the recommendation is that the supervisors just need to review these expenditures and determine if there is proper public purpose. And then, be documenting that. So as you're going through the claims, every claim session, just make sure that there's public purpose for those expenditures that are, being approved. Further down on that page then with the business transactions. Related party transactions, the Code of Iowa identifies $6,000 as the threshold for potential conflict of interest. We do have one that is over that $6,000 threshold, but the related party did not participate in the acquisition of services. So that is one of the things that the code allows, so that you can go ahead and still do business with those local businesses. You just have to make sure that you're following the requirements of the code. So because everything was appropriate, this is just a disclosure. There's no finding associated with it. We're on page 91 then. I do want to stop and talk about the restricted donor activity. This is also something that our state auditor's office has been very vigilant on, and this is in regards to chapter 68P of the Code of Iowa, which is a gift law. This applies to all government employees, elected officials, department heads, anybody that is employed by Kossuth County. Now, the gift law says that you cannot accept a gift over $2.99. So that includes, vendors cannot take you out for dinner. Vendors cannot buy you presents. We also have supply companies that like to go ahead and if you order X number of dollars, they're gonna throw in a free Starbucks card or they're gonna throw in free whatever. There's a couple supply companies that we've run into this year that are really good at that. And the counties always need to be taking the discount because it's either the gifts or the discount. So always make sure you're taking the discount. Don't let vendors go ahead and, pick up the tab for you for lunch. I will tell you that there were several instances of this reported put to both my office and the state auditor's office. When we investigated those claims, those transactions did not happen in fiscal 22. They happened in fiscal 21. So that's why we don't have a finding for this particular situation because it was outside of the scope. It had happened prior to the scope of this audit. This audit went from July 1st of 2021 through June 30th, 2022. The transactions that have been mentioned weren't within that time period, so therefore we don't have a finding. But like I said, we did have several phone calls to both my office and the state auditor's office with concerned citizens calling in and reporting different things. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware. It might be something the supervisors want to have a department head meeting. I know several department heads are in this room right now, so I know they're getting that information. If there's ever any questions or concerns, go ahead and give me a call. But it is, again, something the state auditor's office has been very vigilant with and has encouraged us to be vigilant with as well. So even though there isn't a finding for the time period we're covered, I just wanted to make sure that I was brought to your attention so that you were aware that there had been phone calls made and that there were concerns. So that way you can address them and move forward. Okay, so then the next finding we have then is on the board minutes.
Can I interrupt you a minute?
Yeah.
Bond coverage, the right one right underneath that. We talked about our bond coverage before, but we've never done anything. I think we're at 50,000.
And the code hasn't changed on that.
That hasn't.
It hasn't. And so it's what your comfort level is. And I have counties with a wide range of what they feel is appropriate for the bond coverage. So ultimately, as long as you're in compliance with the code, I'm gonna be fine with it. It's kind of what your comfort level is as supervisors. If you feel that that needs to be increased or adjusted, you absolutely can do that at any point in time.
Okay. So it is all over the board as far as coverage. There's nothing consistent, I should say. Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it comes down to as long as you're complying with the code, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna pass the muster for audit, so. Okay, so then for the board minutes, there was a closed session on January 18th of 22. And the minutes didn't include the documentation of the roll call vote. Now, with the open meeting laws, this is also something you want to be very careful with. Chapter 21.5 of the code very specifically lays out the requirements for a closed session. So a lot of times I think those roll call votes are happening. It's just the way the minutes are worded. So you need to make sure that the minutes document what actually happened. So, but again, we probably just happened to pick the one closed session too, because again, this is based on test and sample. We don't look at every single one, so, if we just reported on what we attempted on. The next finding that we have is on page 92, and that's in regards to the sheriff's separately maintained account. It's still a commissary profit account that is over there and maintained separately. It's been there for a long time. I don't anticipate it's gonna move, so we're gonna continue to have this finding. So, again, like I said, talked about it, not much more to say about it. With the financial assurance, with the transfer station and the landfill, this is something they go ahead and they estimate your post-closure costs every year. We compare it to what you have in that restricted general ledger fund. Doug's, I know, gonna make a transfer and it's gonna be all fine. Right now, it showed that the estimated costs were 540,000 and you had 525 in that restricted fund. So I'm sure that transfer's probably already been done, probably. So again, not concerned with that. On page 93, we have the financial position footnote. We did have a couple funds that had a deficit fund balance at June 30th. One of them is drainage, and it's because of the amount of stamped warrants that you have. Ultimately, you're gonna collect those drainage assessments, you're gonna pay off those warrants and the interest, and that will, eventually go away. With the Buffalo Township Urban Renewal Fund, there's an interfund loan that is triggering that, and as the TIF is collected and the loan is paid back, that will come back into the black. And then with the capital projects fund, it's just the way the funding process works with your capital projects. You're either waiting for grants, you're waiting for reimbursements. So again, that one is gonna go away as well, so. And then the last finding we have that's in the report is in regards to donations. And the state auditor's office has provided their interpretation that donations to private not-for-profits are not allowable. There's no public purpose for them. So instead, they're looking at agreements for services. So this particular one that was identified in the audit is to the Algona Chamber of Commerce. So if they're providing, a service, if they're, doing, the recommendation is to go ahead and have an agreement in place with the Algona Chamber of Commerce. If they're providing some sort of service, it needs to be specific. You pass that agreement and then the finding. So, but the code prohibits donations or contributions to not-for-profits, so. And that, again, I think that had been a concern last year. It was a non-report concern last year. I think there was just this one that didn't get an agreement put in place before the donation was made, so therefore it's included in the audit report. So questions, concerns? There were other little items that were discussed with the related departments as we went through the audit process, but weren't significant enough to be included in the audit report. So, and if we see something that another county is doing that's working for them, we're definitely going to share that information and provide that with the respective elected official, department head, whatever. So we want to make things as easy as possible. I do also want to talk a little bit about the alternative compliance engagement agreement that was required to be performed. This year, Kossuth County spent $1.1 million worth of the American Rescue Plan funding. Now, in the past, you have to have a single audit if you spend over $750,000 in federal money during the fiscal year. Well, because there is so many little smaller governments that have never had to have a single audit that are now having to have a single audit, the OMB, which is our oversight over the federal dollars, they decided that they were going to offer another alternative to that. And the alternative to that was to have test work performed on just the American Rescue Plan expenditures. So as a whole, Kossuth County spent $1.5 million of federal money during that fiscal year. But 1.1 million of it was the ARPA. So had you not had those ARPA expenditures, you wouldn't have had to have a single audit. And because your award for the ARPA was under $10 million, you met the requirements to be able to do the alternative compliance engagement agreement, which is what we did. So we came in, we looked at your procurement policy, and then we did a sample of the American Rescue Plan expenditures to document that they were being spent for appropriate purposes. And then also Tammy got to do a submission with the Federal Clearinghouse to record that. So there was an independent accountant's report that was issued stating what we did for procedures and what we looked at. And then also I helped and assisted with the submission for the Federal Clearinghouse. So there is a data collection form now on the federal website that does document that Kossuth County spent $1.1 million of the American Rescue Plan funding during that fiscal year. So that will continue throughout the tenure of the ARPA funds until they're all spent. So, looking at fiscal 23, if you're spending the majority of your ARPA funds and you wouldn't have qualified for single audit unless you had that, it'll be the same rules then again next year. So you'll just have to do the alternative compliance agreement instead of the big single audit. So much better. Tammy's much happier with that. So a lot less reporting required. So any other questions or concerns?
Any of the department heads have any questions? You must have done an awful good job.
Well, I try to keep it short and sweet, but I know you got two newbies too, so make sure they get all their questions answered. I know it's a lot of information for them too.
Guys have any questions for Elizabeth?
Call me anytime if you think of something too, so.
If not, let the record show that Gardner.
Do we have to-
give us a report?
Do we have to make any action?
No.
Okay.
So the record will show that you were here. Gave us a report. Thank you much, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Melissa had questions too, so.
I'm good.
I'll be around to help.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Kaler, get a hold of you.
He did, yes.
Do you want me to?
I let him know they're working up his way to take care of the rock cleanup.
Are they gonna get it all
That
done
on
within the
floor.
time frame?
They're working. I hope for their sake they are. I was really clear the last time, I'm not supporting any additional time extensions or anything like that. So if they're not done in 4 days by the 15th, I let come what may as far as the financial repercussions on them as a result.
They're kind of pushing it to the limit.
Yeah,
We've
And I-
both had
and
conversations with them for
I've
that.
called them and I can talk till I'm blue in the face. The only thing I can't do is do it for them. So.
Yeah.
Duke found a place I was the only person who could stand up with them.
Well, you're up next. Tammy was going to get Marge, so she'll be coming, so you
I have a feeling we might have at least one other person come back.
possibly. Never know. Oh.
Well, I have. I don't know.
652 drainage districts was in the audit.
Yes.
It's copies
I
here
think
and
that
now.
really should say drainage assessment
wait.
schedules and stuff, districts. For some of them have more, and schedule, and like lat 28.
Oh,
That's
that was based on schedules. It's not the number of districts.
Right.
Well, then, yeah, that probably should say a little differently.
And then the request report to go with that.
Cause like this is the different schedule.
Thank you.
Four would have it.
This is a schedule and it breaks it up into even more schedules, so.
Yeah, what, it was in our audit that we had 600, what was it, 52
52.
drainage districts, that's not quite.
Yeah, that,
Assessment schedule.
you're right, that is inflated a little bit by the breakdown of all of them, yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense to me, if it makes sense to you.
Yeah, I think it would have been tough to cut it up into 600 different, actual distinct drainage districts.
Yes.
Feel like go for
And
it.
even at that,
You
you
get a
think about
district.
652 assessment schedules,
That's still a lot. Yeah,
That's-
that's.
it's just. And we have one person doing our drainage in the auditor's office, where you have a county that has probably 200 drainage schedules, and one person doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's no wonder she's overwhelmed big time.
Right, yeah. The numbers are, it's enough to make your eyes cross just thinking about it, let alone actually doing it.
Yeah,
And our $9 million that's out in warrants is enough to make your eyes.
Yeah, that's, when you hear the number out loud, that's,
There should be a little less now because quite a few got called in, but I bet it's still six, at the end of the fiscal period, it was like 9 million when we had all the new ones. And now
oh,
quite a few of them are called in, so I'm sure it's still 6, but it's still a big number.
right, yeah, yeah. There was a lot going on there for a while, so.
Yeah. Well, we'd had 4 or 5 big projects every year there for a stretch.
Yeah,
Big.
it's,
A lot of that came after the floods from, what was it, 2019?
some
Yeah.
of it was started before though.
Yeah.
Was it?
Oh, yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
But we,
nice.
we
The
did get up
engineers are
to-
never fast about anything.
we did get up to 68 inch tile that I thought we never would.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I always say the only things about drainage that I'm sure about is that it takes time and it's expensive.
And it's not fair.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah, well, we're here to discuss just that.
fairness at its.
Myself and the 2 commissioners have tried to cut it up so everyone's equally as unhappy as they could possibly be. And then, yeah, and but that's, if everybody's unhappy, I figure I've shot pretty well done.
She is in the drainage room with somebody, but as soon as she's finished with him, she'll be.
That's all right. We'll just wait. We're gonna have more
Well,
drainage room.
did you have anything for the 2080? Anything you wanted to talk about?
Not in particular, that's, simply the 28E agreement that had been, submitted a few weeks back for the discussion, if there were any sort of changes you wanted to see made regarding the inclusion of the saturated buffers in the wetland design process. Since there were no changes that had been proposed from the county, the response I then got from IDELS was, if you were comfortable with it, it would be fine with them if you signed that current copy, no changes needed to be made, sign that, return it to them. They would sign it and add it as the amendment to that 28E agreement. So that's really no changes, no.
The basics is adding saturated buffers.
Yep, right, yep, that's all it does, is adding the possibility for consideration and for design of saturated buffers. Nothing that would cost any additional monies of the counties or the drainage districts, all still covered as part of that original agreement.
We have signed an agreement once with them, correct?
Yes, this is just an amendment to that, that adds in, they felt more comfortable.
If
with
we'd
the-
add buffers.
If
Yeah.
Right, if we wanted to consider saturated buffers, which there are some projects that they've had some interest from landowners in that regard. They felt more comfortable that since it wasn't specified originally, that this takes care of that. This lumps those in with it, makes it all just one big part of it.
So I guess I'm losing. You're gonna provide us a 2080 agreement that we're supposed to sign then?
I have it.
No, I already have it.
Okay,
And it's an amendment to the original one that we
Yeah.
already did. But it's for all the conservation, nutrient reduction type stuff. That we did previously.
so. You wanna do the 2080 agreement first?
That's the first thing on the agenda. Yep.
Do I have a motion to approve the amended 2080 agreement?
Make that motion to approve.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Why don't we do a roll call vote, means 2080?
Plath,
Yep.
Nah,
Yes.
Whacker,
Yes.
Stecker,
Yes.
Jerks.
Yes.
Oh.
You sign down here, right?
Yep. We are up to DD 4, lap 28. Set time and date for public hearing. Acknowledge.
And acknowledge the report, okay?
Yes,
Any annexation.
those are the, those are the two. We got there.
Yeah.
Those are the two reports that I have handed out here. The top one, the stapled copy is the annexation report on the Drainage District 4, lateral 28. There's a tabulation and a map that shows all of the areas that were found to be benefiting from that system. They are then accounted for in that report. And then second, there is the commissioner's report of reclassification of that system. There's lateral 28 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional schedules that break all of the sub facilities up off of that. Those are outlined in the report as far as the schedule that is to be levied is just lateral 28. The rest are for maintenance purposes included, but not assessed. They have dollar amounts on them for example purposes only. There are also maps that go along with all of those. I've also provided here for you, Marge. This is the signed original copies as well as the oath of commissioners. The commissioners being myself, Tim Struger, and Rich Rosenmeyer. At the time of the hearing, as we've always done, I like to go into a lot more detail about how those figures were all come up with, how the watershed was determined, and what that, how everyone's benefit shakes out at that time. I could go on, I'm never quite sure what level of detail anyone would like here. But at the hearing, certainly we go through all of that.
Originally, it was all under one assessment schedule.
Yes, and it was, there was some. It had been split because of that relief ditch that had been put in. Aside from it all being on one, the other thing that had not been credited for was the request of Jay Goshi to incorporate his main tile system into the benefit that he was receiving from the other system. Essentially, he wanted a reduction.
You wanted a reduction.
Because of the main system that he had put in. there was a factor incorporated for that. It was the lands that were being served, the lands of his directly being served by that got a 70% reduction from their benefit from the repaired portion of lateral 28. That was in line with what we had used for reduction factors, taking for tile water that was taking water either into or out of districts. So it falls really in line with prior reclassifications that we had formed. Of course, the landowners will have the opportunity to speak at the hearings, file any sort of objections, and ultimately the schedule of benefits is the percentages, the numbers is all, the board has the final say on what those look like.
So his private tile relieved lateral 28 totally.
But not, well, it was 28, and then there are several on the maps. There are several of the branch laterals as
Right.
well that there are relief being seen. Is the dashed line shows the information for that private main that we received from Jay. And so he got the 70% reduction on lateral 28, as well as the other laterals that he has branched off
So
from.
he got benefit for 62, 64, 63.
Yes, all of them that would have, yes, all of them that would have had water relieved by his system. He received that same,
Percentage.
essentially, yes, because all the factors are multiplied together. When we give his ground a 0.3%, it's taking all of his numbers times 0.3, which is that 70% reduction. So it's essentially his benefit is reduced across the board on those lands by 70%.
Yeah, and as you said, we'll get more detail at that hearing.
Yeah, and I'll have, I have all the maps with me right now, but for the sake of going through all of it, I think I can answer any questions, or if anybody has any other questions, feel free to stop up to the office, but I go through all the maps and data and everything with the landowners at the time of the hearing.
If not, I would entertain a motion to acknowledge the report and set a time and date for the public hearing on DD4 lat 28.
Tyler, as far as timeline, hopefully we're all done in the field by May 23rd, but do you have availability after that if we pushed it back?
I'm available the 30th and the 6th as well. So yeah, if you wanted to go even further out than that, the 23rd is the
Earliest.
soonest
Yeah.
that it could be, but you could have it.
I think we'd go postpone it past that.
I would say to the 6th. That would be my recommendation, just hopefully we're comfortable by then, but
June always feels better on stuff like this.
and I don't think we have any need to rush it, so.
You know, the last 3 years we've been done in the field for the last 4 days of May. So, I mean,
I'd knock on something wooden, but
Yeah.
that.
Rain works Sunday, so that's.
yeah,
I would lean towards June 6th if that works for you.
Yeah, if there's no rush to get anything out for assessments.
The project is done, so we can do the.
Yeah, this is just
And we'll
paperwork.
have the-
Yeah.
The
Still
schedule.
have all the schedules.
Right.
Hopefully,
So yeah,
10:30 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah, whatever, any
Okay.
10 o'clock.
I'd make the motion to acknowledge the annexation and reclassification reports and set the time and date for June 6th at 10 o'clock here in the boardroom.
Second to the motion,
I'll second the motion.
second by Carter. Discussion on the motion? Everybody comfortable with it? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you all. March, we will get those notices to you,
Okay,
for that. We've already got them started, so just put the dates in and, get those up to you.
okay.
Perfect.
Good, thanks.
Thanks all.
Yep.
Yeah, no worries.
We have a couple repair requests.
Mine's already done.
So it's mine, or it isn't really, I think it's really Carter's.
Okay, yeah, I looked at that too. Be Carter,
What Carter?
Wesley, yeah, Wesley Township.
because it's Wesley. He just came in and made the report, and then I looked at it, and thought that's probably Carter.
Reitzel called me, cause he calls me all the time, don't ask me why.
Dell.
They had already fixed it.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
It was just a crack in the
Okay.
tile.
Just a small washout.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's that.
they were doing tiling and there was a hole, so they fixed it.
Yeah.
That will be the other one. So,
You wanna read your repair?
Yep, this is for Drainage District 91. 5 for Steve Arndorfer. And the main tile, 24-inch tile, was broken and needed repairs. In section 6, Wesley Township. And Reitzel already, yes, take care of that.
Mine is number 6 in section 10 of Greenwood for Jeff Dietering. There's a washout near his building site, so we've got that fixed already.
Do I have a motion for the supervisors to handle their repair request? By Plath, second by Wactor. Yep. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
And Marge, Roger's got info for one. We'll come and get another one made up.
We'll make one.
Total repair.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay, I have a general question to ask. We had, a gentleman for PK one. Had damages he would like to report, but as a rule, we've already had the completion hearing. And the damages, Tyler Conley had looked it up. And, part of the damages are, he was farming part of the road right of way. So the dollar amount that would be claimed would be approximately $81.30. But as a rule, it wasn't presented at the completion hearing. So your thoughts that it probably shouldn't be considered?
I would reject that.
Reject.
Okay, that's just,
We're not gonna, we ain't gonna start that precedent.
yeah, that's what I thought.
We have people coming in all the time.
Yeah.
Going back. Trying to plan.
There's a process and it's
Yep.
the landowner's
Rules of
responsibility
follow, man.
to,
well, we don't have a way to pay it. To be,
Correct. It's already been assessed.
Yeah.
it's,
Right.
yeah,
it's done and
Right,
over.
that's
as
the other,
far as-
that's another.
Okay,
we really don't have a legal way to pay that. Anything else from Marge? Thanks, Marge.
Yep, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Roger, have some requests if you want.
Yeah, I gotta come talk to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh,
Keep reviewing.
I guess
Yeah.
a quick update for FEMA stuff. We've got paperwork for combining 2 projects, which has been a substantial task to get that accomplished, but I've been talking to Marge, Leon, Nate with Iowa Department of Homeland Security called me back while we were in the meeting here, but long story short, once we fully review all that, make sure everything's documented correctly. Once we sign it, we'll be able to request up to the federal share of 75% for, and primarily drain 4 is the big ticket item on this. So that'll result in several $100,000 of reimbursement being able to be requested, which is a huge benefit to all those landowners in reducing interest charges. So just 2-second status update that way. But we're getting close on it. It's been a long process.
Yeah.
It'll be good to be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, thanks.
We have a discussion with our county auditor.
Well, it's good to have the audit done and the audit report behind us, and working with Elizabeth and Gardner and company is nice. They're very, very thorough. I don't worry about them missing anything. If there's something to find, they will find it. They do a good job, and I feel comfortable with their reports every year. So it's nice to have that done. The other thing I want to talk to you about is the quote from Federal Fire Equipment. I think I sent you guys out an email on this. Derek says E911 has plenty of money that they can pay for it, so he is gonna have his commission approve it, and then the claim will come through you guys for approval. So, and that's the reason for that is it's the reason it needs to be updated over there is because it's not big enough, strong enough. I don't know how that all works. What it is at right now for all the IT stuff going through it, so it has to be updated.
So I do have something about that.
Okay.
My brother actually owns that company,
So
so,
this company,
yeah, so when it comes through approving the claims on that, do I have to abstain from the entire claim? Okay.
that would be a good practice.
Yep.
Okay. Um, And I don't know, because of that, do we have to have more than one quote, or is that the company that just does that? I don't know. What do you guys think?
As long as he would abstain from any of the discussion or from the vote, I think we would be safe to act upon it. But
Should be.
you can't give an opinion or a suggestion.
I think 2 quotes or multiple quotes is always better, but
I don't know if it is such another company.
I don't think it's
I
necessary
don't.
because I wasn't involved in getting the quote. I had no idea that he was even gonna be doing the work. So,
yeah.
And you
so
still
I-
don't.
yeah,
Well, and that's part of the discussion we had on the audit with the involvement in the procurement, so you're outside of that.
So that's good. I will be gone Friday. Our nephew gets married on Friday, and I will be gone next Friday for some medical appointments. But that's all I have.
Big agenda item next week.
Oh, next week. Thank you for. So next week, we talk about the move, how would you say that, damper for the Kossuth County Courthouse. Will has some updated bids. The bid from Algonah Plumbing and Heating, like we talked about last time, stayed the same. There's no updated costs. And then he got the other bids for the other 2 things that need to be to complete that project. So that'll be on the agenda for next week. And other than regular stuff, claims, conservation claims, veterans affairs, that's all I have so far. Next week's agenda.
Mr. Flatt.
Oh. Sorry, wellness was canceled, so I had nothing.
No wellness?
No wellness this
No
week.
wellness in
No.
the county?
We're suffering.
Mr. Whacker.
I had no meetings, but I did get a chance to talk to Justin Stotts with the Regional Housing Authority. Kind of get some information on who would be a good fit for that position, that appointment. Some of the things he kind of gave me for information was that, they meet on the 4th Tuesday of the month at 9 AM. They just basically handle budget approval, They do not do taxing. We also do not send them money from the county. They have a 28E agreement, and that agreement basically just approves us to appoint someone to represent our county in their region.
So they meet in Mason City.
They meet in Mason City. So some of the things that they actually do is they have public housing that they kind of, they are in charge of maintaining the funds for people that have, disabilities, things like that, that need public housing. They're the ones that kind of furnish the funds for that, and the funds all come from the state, so nothing county dollar wise. Basically, as far as our involvement is, we are just appointing a person to represent our county. So, some of the people that he suggested were, economic development. Anybody that's on economic development could potentially, be on this board. Realtors. He said he had several realtors, just kind of a few, he said there's really no real big background to it, as they just kind of make decisions on the budget and stuff like that. So, you guys have any ideas of anybody that you could talk to, send them my way and I can get them more information. I'll be kind of doing some checking around too, to see if there's anybody that might be interested in serving on that, but.
You're gonna have an economic development meeting pretty soon.
Well, we were supposed to have one on the 28th, but Maureen was gone, so we had to cancel it, and I haven't heard if there's a new date yet.
Good
But I
time to
will,
ask.
yep, I did plan on bringing that up,
Yeah.
so.
And then, there's also.
I'm sure Maureen won't do it herself.
No.
No,
it
no,
has
But
to be
someone else from.
He would be a good
that.
person to kind of talk to about that, because,
You got a couple bankers on there. I think they've been underneath the criteria to
Yeah.
be.
Probably.
yeah, he did mention that there were bankers on there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and he did state that, according to their bylaws, they don't have anything stating that it only has to be one person. So if we did have more people interested, we could have a delegate and an alternate.
Okay.
Just as long as they can have a quorum when they meet.
I wonder if they've ever updated their 2080 from the.
He
Okay,
said
that we
no.
saw.
He said that they haven't updated. I think he said it was like back in 1980 something when the 2080 was
It was
originally
old.
signed.
It was
Yeah.
old.
Yeah, so. But. Other than that, I had some exciting news. Me and Heather are expecting.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
We will be, she's about 10 weeks right now. Due date will be in like November 6th. So excited about that.
That is very exciting. Congratulations.
Thanks. That's all I have.
Got any news like that stuff?
After topping that,
Oh, I was gonna say too, I got my, Austin Chase brought me down my first bucket of beaver tails.
Yeah.
So now you're a beaver tail expert.
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, no, I didn't have anything that way, mostly drainage, kind of touched on 4 with the timeline here earlier with Tyler. There's not a lot of work to be done, but they just need to wrap it up in the last couple days, so I'm expecting that it will be done, but.
You
we
mean
will-
McCartney?
McCarty, yeah,
McCartney.
yeah, we will see how that gets finished up. Already touched on the paperwork with FEMA. Mostly been drainage and other normal things, but no big meetings.
Yeah, I got a meeting tomorrow with transportation in Mason City, and other than that, all I did was look at holes in the field. And road ditches.
There's a couple.
I don't think we'll ever get caught up.
Oh,
Again.
yeah, we will.
not the intakes. In road, it's just, every time you drive down the road, there's more.
Oh.
Anything else to come before the good of Kossuth County?
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
I'll second.
got that? Carter, second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimous. We're adjourned.
Go enjoy the beautiful day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, nice.